everybody. It's Heather McIntyre, International Life and Wellness Impact Coach, coming to you from the live home studio of the Chronicles of Mammamac. Today we are talking about feelings on our Ask the Coach wellness session. We started this a couple of weeks ago, and it's so exciting. I get to lean and share information with you to help you to bigger, better, and rise up to be and live your best self. So welcome, and thank you for anybody who is joining me live today. We will be discussing, some things around feelings. Hello, Brad. And you can catch me on replay and you can also check out on YouTube at the Chronicles of Mammamac page all of the different things there, the Wisdom Wednesdays, the New Moon and Full Moon Takeaways, the Real Talks with Mammamac podcast, which I'm absolutely loving. Actually, I'm absolutely loving all of this as much as it is seeing me and pushing me to be very exposed and vulnerable. I have to say that it really does ignite my fire and my passion to be able to be of service and help in the world. So with that, sorry, I got a real itchy nose here. We're going to talk about feelings. Now, this conversation can help anybody and everybody. Whenever we come to expressing our feelings, they are something that we do every day. You can either be really good at it or you can suck at it. And a lot of us are walking around and we're sucking it. And, there is no shame in that. It is what it is, but it's our ability to take the power back to heal parts of ourselves that create the situation in which we do emote in a negative or less than way. It is our responsibility to truly own our own power as a human, as a loving, living, breathing human that sets the intention to show up in the world and be the best that they can be. So I want to talk quite a few subjects here today, just because this is such a really big thing in our lives, and it's not always an easy thing about. And so you're going to see me going back and forth. I've got lots of notes here today and lots to share with you, but I want you to know that this is just the part one of this. I think it's really important as we are coming into the holiday season when emotions are ramping up and we're being triggered by our emotions, that there is an outlet for which you and as a collective can bring light to some of this stuff that's triggering us, that's setting us off in maybe a negative loop. And it's a way for us to and give, power to the people in the way that you feel like you have a connection, that maybe, it's not just you. And I'm here today that it's not just you. Everybody everywhere is dealing with non-positives in their lives. And as hard as it is some days to really keep your head up and keep plugging along, it is your duty. It is also our duty to try and create the best living experience ourselves and those around us. And the way that we do that is to own our feelings, to really truly get to the bottom of who we are, learn how to love ourselves, because that's where it all starts. If we're loving ourselves fully from a positive place, an intellectual place, and a place of just acceptance, then it ripples out into the world, and your outside world, starts to show you what you're giving. It always goes back to, you'll hear me say, and whenever I'm in session with people, I'll say, what's our sign on our butt? Like this forehead right here is your bus, okay? And pretend that we're driving down the street or the road and saying, downtown Collingwood or downtown Toronto. You get on a specific path in your life, and this is the sign on. If you are finding yourself being challenged, struggling, or just being stuck, take a look at what this is saying. Is it saying that I'm not worth it? I don't deserve to have a life that is easy and full and full of love? Are you in a relationship where all you're attracting are people that are using you and abusing you, violating you in a physical, verbal way, or whatever it is? What are you saying? What is in this bus that is bringing us here? And I know I always come back to this, but there's just no way of getting around. The truth is we are who have been patterned to be from the point of our existence. So however we were parented through our families, how our parents were parented, we're living out their bus, their signs, their signals, their ways in which they're doing things. Yes, if you're lucky and your parent was able to stop a pattern, to identify and to really do some hard work around the programming that has been part of their life, then you're going to see a break in that pattern, and you're going to be able to change things. So maybe you're standing in your life right now and you know what you lived, you know what you were taught as a child about emotions, about feelings, and all those things. You've decided that now you have children, and that you identify and realize that, oh, that's not the way that I want to live my life. That's not the way that I want to teach my children to have a healthy relationship, to learn how to love, to communicate in their world. Let's face it, the world we live in right now, having twins in the family home together, few and far between. And I'm not saying that to offend anybody in any way. We are all going through all of these situations because we've never ever learned how to communicate properly. We've never learned how to love ourselves. And we've never ever learned how to express ourselves in a way to get what we truly want. We're just living a life on a wheel of doing what has always been done, whether it's our story or it's not. And so the reason that I'm so passionate about this is because I lived that loop for so long of living everybody else's story, and it did nothing to me but put me in a place of illness and a breakdown. I know that I joke about this, but 15 years ago was the time when I had my break. I had been pushing through my life, through all that had happened, and through all of the instances and all the patterning I had in the best way that I knew how. I was flying out front. I was taking care of things. I created the perfect world. I was able to pretend that life was grander than it was. And never, ever did I ever let anybody see what was really going on behind those doors, what was really going on in my story, what was really happening. And I paid the price for that. Family paid the price for that because it took me out. I was out for, a good 4 to 6 years where I was struggling to find my way back. Had I known back then how to regulate my emotions by actually expressing my feelings and my words in a positive and way, I may not have gotten sick the way that I did. but I was just living out the only thing I knew, the only story I knew. And, I stand here today and again, this is why I'm so passionate, because I'm seeing all of this ripping out. When you've been through the trenches, you wake up and you are like, holy shit, look at what's going on in this world. Now I see why. Oh, that's, that, I see that. I'm not here to fix you. Okay. Old Heather would have been like, oh, please, please, please let me fix you. Let me go out of my way and do everything I can to fix you. I'm not here to fix you. I'm here to give you the insight and the education to be able to claim your own power, make your own changes, and reach for a life that is your best life that you can have. Implement the best things that you can have. So let's first of all talk about, just going to go to my notes here. Let's talk about feelings. So how are you feeling right now about this whole conversation of feelings? What if you had a magic wand and you could truly express your feelings, your emotions, all of those things in your world exactly as you wanted, with no limitations, boundaries? You were just running at your best version and you were living out your dreams and everything was flowing freely. What do you think that would look like? Take a minute. Take a minute and let's dream a little. Let's close our eyes and wonder what it would look like and feel like in our bodies if we were having everything that we could possibly want, have our own personal needs met. So take that in for a second. And then I want you to imagine or think about who would benefit from this best version of yourself. If you were running at optimum speed in life, doing everything that you wanted, giving and receiving in both, an energetic way, it was an equal flow. And what is it that, or who would benefit from it? What would it like? What does it feel like in your body when you think about this? Does your heart start to race a little bit? Does a smile come on your face? Do you get that feeling of, oh, this is good, I'm so excited? Or does it scare you? Does it make you uncomfortable? These are indicators of how you've been led to believe and the association of feelings to experiences. So if you were doing exactly what you wanted to do, having exactly what you wanted to look like, what would it feel like and who would it benefit? So I want you just to, once you got that, put it in the back, keep it there. This is sparking a conversation that you may from later on. Now I want to talk about, actually, I want to kind of take everybody back to zero. So I know that most of us don't remember being babies, being young children. I think my earliest memory was probably around, that I can remember in a faint, maybe 3 or 4, and an experience that I had, but to become more vivid, like 5 or 6. When I start to look at these memories and these experiences that I had, I can truly define what it felt like whenever I was in pure bliss and pleasure of what was in as a young child. And I can also identify whenever I was in pure terror and scared to death. And those for me were my two determining factors in life. It was either blissed out, woohoo, however vigilant about what was coming up next, I would still ride that roller coaster of goodness for all it was worth. And then whenever it was not good, then I would call upon those memories, those feelings to help get me through the times that wasn't good. So how did you as a child? What's your first few experiences? How did you really truly understand your emotions? When we learn to express and see in how ways, we actually get the opportunity to transform our experiences in a positive way. So even though we may not have had the best experiences growing up, when we look at them through our adult eyes, we have the opportunity to have this understanding and this knowledge of knowing, okay, yeah, that really freaking sucked and that shouldn't happen. But I understand that I can change this. It doesn't have to be this way. I don't have to carry it forward. It does not become my normal. Okay. So, what were things that you were told as a kid whenever, whenever you got in trouble and you got caught doing something that you didn't want to do? How was that expressed to you? Were you scolded? Maybe you were, scolded. How were you made feel? Were you shamed for what you did? Were you belittled or kinds of emotions? Whenever you were doing these things and living out your life as you were growing up, did you handle your emotions? When you were checked by something, did you quietly retreat? Did you suppress it? Did you create a life where you were in everybody's face and almost smothering and overpowering? Or were you explosive and angry? These are all emotions that we had, and they are association. They're the feelings and the reactions to our lack of in our life. If we are overjoyed and happy, those are our emotions too. We always have negative and positives. How you react to every situation that you're faced with. Somebody questions you, do you get defensive? Do you get angry? Do you lash out? Or do you look at it as an opportunity to reflect, to understand, and to take another look at things? Your programming will determine how you respond and in the world. I remember that, in my earlier years, this is something that I work with on a regular. My programming predicted to me that if anybody was challenging me, then they were challenging me. Like if you asked me a question or you questioned what I was doing, it was like, wait a minute. What are you saying? And I took it personally, and it was an attack instead of an opportunity to step back and think about how I was reacting and how I could learn and maybe see through an unwounded lens the point that was trying to get across to me. I'm not perfect in any way, shape, or form. And this is something that I deal, with keeping in check all the time. But it's easier and it's getting, much. There's fewer and fewer stirrups of that to really, truly hit all my triggers for me to react in that way anymore. So with association, okay? So we learn by what we were taught. What we were taught becomes our self-regulation, and our self-regulation habits. So if you were in a situation or experiences of not being enough, being shut down, verbally abused, questioned, ridiculed, all those things, you're going to start to learn and pattern self-regulation and relationship with your emotions around that loop. So if anybody you're going to start seeking, your bus is going to be, I need people to continue to prove to me that I'm not worth it, that I'm enough, that overpower me, that do this. So it becomes the habits in our life that we make habit becomes the vibration that's coming back to us in this world. So, what are the ways in which you emote on a daily basis? I want to share you. I might lose the screen. I'm not sure. Bear with me because I'm just going to click over. Actually, no, it's on my phone. I wanted to read a quote that I pulled off. Whenever I was in the middle of my healing, I was introduced, I did inner child work, and inner child was very crucial for me at that time because I really needed to get back to the basics. If you were to ask me today if inner child work was the crucial stepping stone that launched me into my healing, absolutely, positively. Does everyone do inner child work? Absolutely, positively. I firmly believe in that. There is a wounded child in each one of us, whatever stage it's in, whether you are in rebellion, whether you are dead, whether you are, there's so many stages. And so where I'm going with this is that John Bradshaw has been around for many, many years. He created a series of books and podcasts or not podcasts because they weren't podcasts, videos and stuff of how to your inner wounded child, and it really gave me, I remember in therapy that that was for me when I realized the dynamic of my inner family that had me was actually impacting why I was where I was right now in this world, and realized that it wasn't like I wasn't actively seeking this. I was actively, I guess, I was actively moving on this trajectory because this is what my programming had said. This was what was being told to me. This is what I knew. This is how I self-regulated these things. So John Bradshaw talks about how the family dynamic, it talks about all the different stages in which we go through our inner child. Honestly, we go through, I think there's 6 or 7. I'm going to actually talk about all on next week's podcast on Monday, just because I think it's really relevant information and it will give you an aha moment if you're out there struggling, so that you can identify and go, yes, that's why I'm feeling the way that I'm feeling. And that's why I do what I do. Or maybe that's why, somebody in my life is acting out. It makes sense now. So anyway, where I was going with that was he has it all laid out. And he was the one that started that emotion is basically energy in motion. Okay. So when you are getting an emotional response for somebody, it is because they have been triggered at one of their core levels, and whether they have a positive or a negative reaction to that is to be based on how they learn from the very beginning, how they learn to self-love, all those things. He also set up a list of how we are affected. And it's basically, his response was that, in this day and age that we're living in, when our wounded children, we are bringing forth the contaminated pieces of our past. And contaminated stands for, in his words, C is codependency, O is offender behaviors, N is narcissistic disorder. Issues is T. Acting out or acting in behaviors are the A. In the M, you might see beliefs. In the I, it's intimacy dysfunction, and it's disciplined behavior or non-disciplined behaviors. In the A, it's addictive and compulsive behaviors. In the T, distortions. And in the E, it might be emptiness, apathy, or depression. So to identify that for each one of us that we're in a place where we were not emoting well, or we were being we're fully consumed by our wounded inner child, that the ways in which that it would show would and could show up. Now, I'm not saying I have all those things. I know I don't have all those things, but I can definitely relate to a few of those things and go, holy shit, this makes sense now. So where I'm going with all of this today, every day, is that whenever you can understand and know the workings behind, then you can actually feel connection to make the change and to find the power change. So your child reflects, basically, so the way inner child kind of setup is that for every inner child we see, there's a sub-person. Okay. And it usually shows up as the character that takes over when we're faced with challenged. And that inner child, the contaminant, reflects the child that we were, both negative and positive aspects. So there's always negative and positive aspects in our life. We know that for sure, but it gives you an understanding of, wow, maybe that is why this is going on. When we're able to master our feelings and our emotions, then we clear our mind and our body, stress and anxiety, and we are able to presently live in our life. And that is key, to presently live in our life. I talk about it all the time in my groups. That is why I do what I do, is because showing up and being present is a life transformer. It changes everything. And no matter how big it is, you can find some light, and make a difference, to give you that hope, to give you that direction, and all those things you need. So world where communication, our value, our worth, and our expression mean everything. So it's really important to make sure that you are showing up in the most positive way. So practice self-love, practice positive, gratefulness, growth, and friendship, because they are created whenever we are presently living, when we are honoring our feelings and expressing our in positive ways. So I wanted to read you a quote here that is kind of I guess the opening statement from John Bradshaw before I move out of this. And like I said, next week on Real Talk with Mama Mac, I will dive deeply into this and go through all of the truly express. It is our key job as a parent to allow the ability to express in the most appropriate and best ways we can. We need to mirror correct ways to allow people express, to allow them to flourish, to grow, and to really truly learn the most positive self-regulating experiences that they can. So I'm going to use two examples here. Start first with a toddler or a young person, like around 3, 5, somewhere in there. So at this age, your child is really starting to express their voice. They are inquisitive, everything that's going on in the world. They know that they have all these feelings and they're excited about them, and their little bodies are changing and growing, and things are developing. And they may, this is a perfect time to be instilling healthy boundaries around results, healthy boundaries around goal setting, healthy boundaries around expressing their worth and their emotions and honoring them. So if you have a child that is completely and utterly rebelling, striking out, and coming from a place where everything is a situation and you are overwhelmed, take a step back. What is it that they're looking for in their life? They're probably looking for balance. They're probably looking for boundaries. If you're not giving that to them, then going to be in this frenzy, and you're going to enter this dance of who's going to show up, who's going to teach me, who's going to, what's going to. This is how childhood works. It's a constant balance. It's a constant give and tug and pull. Our people who are leading us. And so, really get your head in a good place to help to encourage them, to empower them, to allow, I remember whenever I was raising my kids, because my kids are in their 20s now, I was coming out of the age of, whose hood was, you should be seen and not heard. Your voice, it doesn't matter to me. You're just a little person. And that created such strife in me. So then I went to the opposite with my kids, where it was like, your voice is everything. And it became a free for all. And I had to really learn to regulate and go, okay, somewhere in the middle, your voice is powerful and your voice needs to be heard. But this is how it respectfully. This is how we do it with integrity, and teaching them those pieces that I get and that I didn't understand. And that meant throwing myself into every educational tool that I could find, do that, and trusting my own inner knowing of my child, my inner child, saying, I didn't get that. This is how I would have felt if I got it. So, as I said, my growing now. And yes, we've had, made mistakes. I told you before, I'm not perfect. But for the, in the grand scheme of things, my kids are good. They connect and they are knowledgeable and they're compassionate and they're doing well in they're self-regulating as they should. So self-regulate, really key thing that we have to learn. What I'm asking you today is, we all, young children or adult children, are a case of having a fixed mindset or a growth mindset. And no matter what we do, we're patterning. Now hold that thought, because I did lose my train of thought a minute ago. I told you I was going to give 2 examples. I gave you the 3 to 5. Now I'm going to give you the 16 to 18 version of this. You have this beautiful young child that is now going to lessons, and they suddenly become your worst enemy. Suddenly start rebelling at every turn. Their grades slip. They start doing bad things. They're different groups. It is not in best interest to meet them head on with resistance. It is also not in your best to feed them to the wolves and let them figure it out on their own. They need you to show up. They need you to communicate healthy boundaries. They need you to validate their experience. They need you to shine a light to show them how to build resilience as they enter this whole new world, in a whole new skin, in a whole new body of hormones. And they need you to be as present and as possible. They also need to see you coming from a real and loving place. Believe me, there are days where you literally think that you are dealing with a demon, and there will be days where you're like, what the actual bleep is going on with you? And there are days when old programming, your story that you were told, will fly out of your mouth. As soon as it flies out of your mouth, you are going to have such regret and remorse and want to take. You can't take it back. It's out, it's there. So I highly recommend that you get yourself in a place where you can be the best version of yourself as you are transforming the world around us, the next generation, giving them the tools that they need to really truly live empowered in this life that they're living in. Because there's lots of things to overwhelm them. It's a whole different world out there. And, we have to arm them with as many tools as possible to help self power, acceptance, and belief. Okay. So to the, are you in a fixed mindset or growth mindset? Examples of what a fixed mindset is. So a mindset is, I'm not good at this. I give up. This is too hard. Or I made a mistake. The mindset is, I'm not good enough at this time. I'm not at this yet. I give up. The growth mindset is, I use strategies to help. The fixed mindset for this is too hard turns into a growth mindset of, it's going to take me some time and some effort, and that's okay. Finally, I make mistakes turns into, mistakes are here to help me learn. And that is so important because, there are right and wrong, but we don't have to break down people's, we find the learning opportunity in each of it. So that's really, really important. Okay. What I want to share with you right now as we wrap everything up is that you can change your story. You can create a dialogue with your children. Your children have this powerful sense of knowing and resilience and pleasure and higher self-esteem. They can be passionate about things and know that they have the strength to be able to do it. And that's so important because this challenges us to do so many things. And if only we knew growing up that we would be in the situations that we're in and what we'd be faced with, it moved us to really, truly have these lessons and these experiences to help us move and shift through. So, you know what? As a parent, as an auntie, as a what else? That's all I am. As a parent and as an auntie, it's really important to give the people in my life all of the tools that weren't available to me that are now available to us all for them to pick up, choose their life experience with. Ultimately, it's theirs to explore. It's duty. They're going to have challenges, but hopefully they will have understand and learn the lessons, resilience and strength and courage and move through them. All of the experiences, good and bad, create the beautiful people that are standing here right now, rising up and being their best self. So I want to challenge you this week to practice a little self-love. Because remember, if you don't love yourself and you don't know how to love yourself, how the hell is anybody else going to learn how to love yourself? And if you don't have a good understanding of what love looks like, then how are you going to mirror to the people of influence in your world? So this is a real exercise that you can use for yourself, and you can also use it with your kids. Any age will apply. It might be a family challenge that you might want to do. What we're going to start out is 5 things, okay? So we're going to do 5 things over the course of the week You can do it in privately, you can do it as a family. It's your call. But I promise you, as you practice this, you're going to bring more and more awareness to all of the goodness that is you. And you're going to be able to look at things from a broader and wider perspective. You are going to be open to expressing yourself in positive ways because we want to hear you. Your voice matters in this world. And it doesn't matter if you were ever told didn't, because it is needed. I'm telling you, I'm sitting right here today. You are worth it. Your voice is worth it. You are needed, and you deserve to show up and have the best goddamn life that you can have. And I'm sorry, I swore if that offends anyone, but that's how I feel. Okay? So, very first thing we're going to do this week is find one thing, just one, that you love about yourself. What is the one thing that I love about myself? Second thing we're going to identify two things that actually make us laugh about ourselves. Third thing is we're going to find 3 ways in which we show up with kindness in the world. You see where I'm with this? I hope you do. The fourth thing is we're going to name 4 qualities. The fifth thing is we're going to name 5 things that we did well this week. So let me backtrack. Number 1, this is always going to be the hardest one. I'm telling you right now because it's not easy to look at yourself and to name one thing about yourself that it's not people. It's hard for people to toot their own horn. You know, it just is. In all of the time that I've been doing this, this is probably a stumbling block to get people started. But once you can get them started, it's almost like you blossom. And ask a little kid this, you watch how just open and receptive they are to truly loving and living and noticing them in themselves. We need to keep that spark alive because that's it all through their life. All right. So I'm going to name one thing today that I love about myself. I love that now express freely. It's my one thing. Number 2, things that make you laugh about yourself. I get so passionate about sometimes that my brain is going and my lips are going. I stumble on my words and I say some of the stupidest things. And then I laugh and I'm like, oh God, what the heck was that? So I get to laugh at myself. That's something I never used to do. I used to ridicule myself. So this is a step. The second thing that makes me laugh about myself is all of my quirky faces that whenever I am faced with people triggering my life. That's only one of them. The 3 things in which you showed up with this week. I know it's only Thursday, but let me see. On Monday, I reached out to an organization here in town that's near and dear to my heart and volunteered my services to be able to bring some special events to them for free. Number 2, I showed up in my Wisdom Wednesdays for the world to lean into different wellness tips that they can take away and apply to their life. And number 3, I gave lots last night to a lot of people I haven't seen in a very, very long time. And it was so good to see them just express emotions in a loving and kind and compassionate. 4 positive qualities for myself. This is another hard one, but I would say number one would be my open. Number two would be my compassion. Number three would be my ability to hear. And number four would be my ability to hold space for people to learn. And then things that you did this week that was powerful and that you wrote. I have got to spend time, one-on-one time, with my husband and my kids. I got to spend one-on-one time with friends and meet new ones. I was able to reach out and meet my business goals and objectives this week. Number four, I get of my nieces and nephews again for an extra day, and that always makes me happy. And number five, I asked with the support and good health of or for my family. And things are changing, and that's exciting and special. That's amazing. So that just gives you an idea of how you could name them. Use it with your kids, use it with your nieces, nephews, whatever. Use it for yourself. Just get back to the part of you that remembers how to love. Like I said, next on the Monday Real Talk with MamaMac podcast, I will dive deep into the family dynamic of that John Bradshaw lived. That another funny face that John Bradshaw talks about, and to the inner child stuff, and see how maybe it would apply to you in your healing process. And we'll talk about feelings some more. Then next week, what do I have going on next week? Just so if you want to do a takeaway with me, we are doing a wellness takeaway. We're making 30 protein balls each on Monday at 7 p.m. here in town. All you have to do, email me or contact me directly to reserve your spot. The cost is $40, and you get to take away 30 healthy whole food protein yourself. Then I have a online new moon circle that will be happening. It is $12. And again, you just need to email me and I can set you up. It's a very special online circle because it's actually facilitated through Zoom conference. And so once you have signed and everything taken care of, you will get the Zoom link. All you do is download the app to your phone or your computer, most of Zoom anyway, and you just click on the conference call whenever you can. If you can't join, it's okay. You can replay it anytime that you want because you have that link. You can have all the takeaways. I'm always excited at our new moons and full moons because it is opening up amazing energy. And we are wrapping up 2019 here with a bang. I tell you, if you're feeling a little battered and bruised this past year, it's okay. All of us are. But we've done it. We've made it. We have leveled up. And next year is going to be unbelievable. This is what I talk about in new moon and full moon circles. And I hope that one day you'll be able to join me there because they are great ways for healing, for expansion, and for connection. Also inside of there, you'll get, Oracle Tarot card readings and all kinds of fun stuff. So lots of things happening. And then, of course, Bloom is always available. First to it will be opening up again here in December for January new healthy starts. I'm really excited to be bringing you all some amazing new programming out world in January. things have really changed here, and they have really grown. So happy and so proud and just excited what this next year is going to bring us. So from the Chronicles of Mama Mac home studio, thank you for bearing with the dogs, the mom in the kitchen who listen whenever I say, can you please be quiet? And yeah, that's my life, man. My life. And all of the quirky little things that I do appreciate you for showing up at that. This Ask the Coach wellness session for you. Listen, if you've got a question around feelings, send me a message. I'll reach out to you directly and help you navigate through a transition and give you some insight on how or what direction to go. If you would like to set up a session with me, I do want to just reach out by email. You can even book it here on Facebook, book a half-hour complimentary session and see what would be better for you. I do tailor-made programs based on your needs. What a coach does is shows up, gives space, the knowledge, and the information for you to lean, to grow, expand, challenge, and change your life. It's your journey, but I'm here to help hold you in the presence and the ability and the space to be able to do it. If you'd like to do that with me, I would love to connect. Please just reach out by email or phone or website, and we can make it all happen. Again, like Chronicles of Mama Mac pages, we're on Instagram, we are on YouTube, and of course, we're right here on Facebook. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. And thanks again for joining me here on Ask the Coach live session when we talked about feelings. Hope it helped. And I hope that you will move forward through today and the weekend and really own the power of what you feel in a positive and loving way. Take care, everybody. McIntyre, International Life and Wellness Empowerment Coach. Till next time.